Hi, welcome to Denali events on live stream at Denali National Park. This is the last of the summer season. The sessions that have been taped already are archived, and you can go to the park website at nps.gov/DENA if you'd like to see those. My name is Chris Capps, and today I'm introducing you to Wendy Mahovlic. She is a Revegetation Technician here at Denali, but we locally call her the Dandelion Queen.
It's true.
And I'm going to let her tell you why.
Well, they call me the Dandelion Queen because I am the Revegetation Technician, but I also eradicate invasives. And dandelions are the most prolific invasive in Denali National Park. Although not the worst, but it is the most prolific. And you will notice that especially if you come into the park around June, and you'll see the front entrance is quite filled with them along the park road, although they are quite pretty with the yellow color.
Well, why is that a bad thing?
Well, dandelions are an invasive plant because they can take the nutrients, the sunlight from the native plants, and so they can crowd out the native plants.
And we want only native plants. Why?
Because the native plants are one of the many aspects of our ecosystem that combine with each other and make a total pristine ecosystem here in Denali.
And also, aren't there dandelions that are native?
That's right.
And how do you tell the difference?
You can tell the difference with the two dandelions. The invasive dandelion has underneath the flower, the yellow flower, is a green bract, B-R-A-C-T, and that is a modified leaf. And that bract goes down with a bad dandelion, so boo, down with a bad dandelion. With a good dandelion, the native dandelion, it goes up, yay, woohoo! And so that's how you tell the difference. And also the habitat is similar. They like the gravel along the park road, and they also, but the difference is the invasive dandelion is a little more upright in its habit. Its leaves are lime green, and it's bigger.
And how does it get here?
It gets here by people's shoes, tires. Birds can even bring it, but mainly it's the tires and the people that bring it.
So is it primarily along the park corridor, but it is in danger of spreading into the wilderness?
Well, actually, the dandelion is mainly along the park corridor, and another reason why is because of disturbance. There's always disturbances along the park road, whether it be computer cables or construction for a new visitor center or whatever, the road construction. That's another reason why there's a lot along the park road. But the invasive dandelion does not really like acidic soils, and our tundra is acidic.
Oh.
So we're not really super. I mean, it might happen. We're not super worried that's going to get into the wilderness via the tundra. Now it could get there via the rivers.
Ah.
So we have to watch that.
So Denali National Park has a very interesting program here. You can volunteer to come and help eradicate these dandelions. And it's been in existence for a very long time. I participated in 1999. I think that might have been one of the first ones,
it was
Wendy.
the first one, yeah.
And in that weekend, the group I was with dug up over 500 pounds of dandelions. And Wendy has continued that program, and she can share some numbers with you. You would be absolutely amazed at how many dandelions and other invasive plants, because we're going to talk about those as well, that she has helped remove from this ecosystem.
Yes, so since 2005, when I really started keeping records, we have pulled up over about 7,000 pounds of dandelions. Total invasive pounds is 20,300.
That's a lot of
It's a lot
dandelions.
of dandelions and invasive plants, that is. But it was all with the help of volunteers.
And one thing I learned is that it's not enough to just pick the dandelion. You can't just throw it in the road because it can still go to seed.
That's right. They're very tenacious. Very tenacious. Yes, the seed, if you just pull the flower and throw the flower on the ground, the flower can turn to seed. Whether the seed's viable or not, I've never done that experiment, but we don't want to mess around with nature. So always throw it in the garbage can. And
That's pretty hardy.
it is very hardy. Very hardy, yep. That's why they continue to proliferate everywhere. But also with the dandelions, you want to try to get as much of the root as you can. It's very difficult, but you just try to get as much as you can. So then it won't grow the next year.
So if you pick a dandelion, you need to throw it into the garbage.
That's correct.
Don't just throw it in the woods because you're just helping to prolificate.
That's right. That's right.
So Wendy is also part of the exotic plant management team here at Denali, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, actually, the exotic plant management team. There is a team in almost every Alaska national park, and there's about 16 teams in 22 different parks in the United States. And in Alaska, it's a little different than in the lower 48. Those teams travel from park to park, but because Alaska is so logistically difficult, we have a team in almost each of the parks. And then we pull invasives, we map them with a Trimble XT 2008, and then we download it, we differentially correct, we edit the data, and then that data goes to a national database so everybody can see and what kind of invasive plants are in Alaska.
Well, we all know dandelions, but what are some of the other invasive plants? And are we familiar with them? Would we know them if we saw them?
I think that a lot of people would know, especially in Fairbanks, a lot of people would know Vicia cracca, which is the dreaded bird vetch. It has a very beautiful purple flower, but it is a vetch, so it's from the pea family. So it has that compound leaf with a vein down the middle with the little leaflets off the side. But the distinguishing feature about this is that it's purple and not pink, but also it has a tendril, a curling tendril at the end of the leaf. And that curling tendril climbs around other vegetation, the native vegetation, and it shades it out. So that's why we don't like it. And also the roots are rhizomatous, which means that you leave any little piece of the root in the soil and another plant possibly will grow.
So another hardy invasive.
Another hardy invasive, yes.
I remember when we were digging out dandelions that sometimes those roots went forever.
Yes, yes.
So these plants have adapted
That's
to
correct.
survive.
That's correct. They're survivors. They should do a reality TV show on them.
So what are some of the other plants that we might recognize?
I don't know if you'd recognize this one, but Vicia cracca, or the dreaded bird vetch, is quite bad, invasive-wise. Another one is Melalotus alba, which is tall white sweet clover. And that you'll see up and down the park's highway, especially after a construction project. It can get up to about 3 feet tall. It has little white flowers, and the bees are attracted to it. And that plant is pretty amazing because it can have 350,000 seeds per plant.
Wow.
And the seeds could stay viable in the soil for 81 years.
Again, very hardy.
Very hardy and tenacious, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's, and then, let's see, another one. Those are the main ones. The ones that people don't like if you have dogs, in particular,
that's a good one to talk about.
is called Hordeum jubatum, or foxtail, or squirrel tail. And it looks beautiful in July and the beginning of August because it's maroon and it flows with the wind and it looks really pretty. But then in the end of August and now you'll see it turns a beige. The seed head is a beige color. It looks kind of ugly. And there's lots of seeds on the plant, and they're a big seed, and it's a V shape. And you know how dogs like to eat grass? Or sometimes they get it stuck in their nose, sometimes they eat the grass, and the V shape doesn't come out. So the dog can get an infected neck, an infected nose, and of course, you know, possibility of death if the infection isn't taken care of.
That spreads pretty easily in
It does.
driveways.
That's right. Any disturbance. And actually the nativity, if it's native or not, is a question mark here in Alaska. So when something is native, it's when it's here before the white settlers came. So that one in particular, I guess they're not really sure when it came. So but it does come up with disturbance, and so I have been pulling it mainly because of the dogs and animals.
And it crowds out other
It can,
native plants?
yes, it can. Yep, yep.
Nasty.
Yes, it is. It's a nasty, another nasty one. Yes, yes.
Wendy and I actually live in the same neighborhood, and I am proud to say it is dandelion free.
Yes, yay!
This is the tool of the dandelion hater.
That's right.
And if you were to volunteer to help pull dandelions and other invasive species, you are forever changed.
You are.
Just
You know,
saying.
don't you notice things a lot more?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You notice wherever you go, all the invasives, it kind of ruins your life a little bit because even when you're on vacation, you think, oh my God, there's an invasive, there's an invasive. You know, plants don't all look so beautiful anymore because some of them, you know, are the dreaded invasive plants that are
But how-
taking over the world.
How can you help to teach this to the average person? The person that's not going to come and help you pull invasive species for a weekend.
Well, I guess
How do we-
live streaming like this is a big help, of course. And at the Muri Science and Learning Center, there is or will be a Invasives of Denali presentation there. And I'm not sure. I guess, you know, I'm not sure how else.
Well, and this is a problem not just at Denali, but
That's correct.
throughout Alaska.
Right, yeah.
I know that Fairbanks deals with invasives.
Yeah, and especially the
Quite a bit.
Visiocracca, the dreaded bird vetch up there. And all of Alaska has invasives. But here in Denali, even though it sounds like it's bad, we are so lucky because we have about 758 native species, and we only have 28 species of invasive plants. And that is compared to about 200 species in some of the parks in the lower 48. I can't remember, I think like Yellowstone and that sort of thing, they have 200 species of invasive plants. So we really are
Wow.
very fortunate here in that this is one of the few pristine ecosystems left in the United States.
And is digging them up by hand the only way to eradicate them?
That's the way we try to do it first, and that's our preference. I have used some herbicide. It is now allowed to use herbicides in the national park. But the only time I like to do that is if I've tried year after year after year and nothing has helped, mainly with the Visiocracca. Or there's another invasive, it's called Crepus tectorum, or narrow-leaf hawksbeard. It looks like it's a tall, skinny dandelion. It has a yellow flower, a skinny little stem with a basal leaf structure. It can get to be about a foot tall, maybe a little bit more. And that also is all over. And it has a seed like a dandelion. Speaking of seeds like a dandelion, one thing you don't want to do you remember from when you were...
From 1999,
Yeah.
I'm afraid not.
Oh, okay.
Refresh my memory.
Okay, remember when we were little, how we used to blow on the dandelion
Oh, yes,
seed head
yes,
and make a wish?
yes.
Oh, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Each dandelion could have 200 seeds, each plant. So that means
Wow.
200 plants, possibility of spreading throughout wherever you're at. So
And if you're at Denali, someone will have to pick those flowers.
that's right. And dig them up on our hands and knees.
So you have hundreds of pounds of invasive species that you have collected in a weekend. Where do you put them?
We bag them up and then we put them to the side, and then our fire crew is nice enough to burn them in the wintertime when they burn the brush that has been collected over the summer. So we're very fortunate that they just get, they
'Cause
get up
I
in
have-
smoke.
I have visions of the landfill
Oh, I know.
sprouting yellow
Yeah.
and purple flowers
Right,
everywhere.
right. Thank goodness no. We're very fortunate that the fire crew is doing
So
it
are
for
you
us.
the only person here at Denali that focuses on these invasive species?
Yes, I'm the invasive plant coordinator, but I do have an intern in the summertime, usually SCA, Student Conservation Association, and that person helps me basically June, July, and part of August, and so they're a huge help.
And if a volunteer wanted to come and participate in helping to eradicate invasive species, how would they do that?
Well, they could, hopefully, I have my phone number is 907-683-6246, and you could also contact me via my Park Service email, which is Wendy_Mahovlic at nps.gov, and I'll spell that. That's WENDY_MAHOV as in Victory, LIC at nps.gov.
And you can promise these volunteers 2 days of hard work, 3 days of hard work?
Yeah, and sometimes it's in June, it's for a week. And
Oh, it's a week?
Yeah.
I don't remember that it was a week.
See how much fun you had?
I did.
We have an East End and a West End dandelion dig, and that's in June. A little bit different times every time. And then in August we have a native seed collecting, So that's a fun thing because you're not dealing with invasive plants at all. You're collecting native seeds that we use for revegetation purposes in the future, and that's super fun. That's
And,
again,
and my understanding is you have had people come from all over the country.
that's correct. Yep, all over the country, and I've had volunteers come back again and again for like 7 and 8 years. We have so much fun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's time for me to sign up again.
Yeah, there you go. I'd love to have you, of course.
Well, thanks, Wendy. Really appreciate you being here, and thanks for tuning in. This is the last live stream for the season, and we'll see you at the new season. Thank you very much for watching.
Bye. Perfect. High five, high five. No question?